We are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. You see on the screen Latin music in Music City, the Hispanic Heritage Month, which is happening. And we've got two great guests with us this morning, just talking about how this aspect of the city and its music scene, important and part of the entire, I think, patchwork of what makes this city so great when it comes to music. With us is Manuel Delgado and Rachel Rodriguez. Rachel is a performer, musician. Manuel, you know, he's a guitar maker, but he can also strum a guitar pretty well too. And thanks both for coming on this morning. We were talking in the last segment just about the types of music. You know, we just scratched the surface, of course. We could talk about this for hours on end, but I think maybe, if you guys don't mind, talk a little bit about something that maybe we could play for the viewers right now. Just a song, a snippet, take as much time as you want, but you know, before you start jamming, tell us what you think you want to play and explain what folks are going to hear.
Well, Rachel and I were talking on the break there. This was unrehearsed, which with me, everything is unrehearsed.
That's fine. That's perfectly fine.
But I'll say, like, real quick, I'll do a real quick version of, like, what a ranchera is. And so when we talked about mariachi, there's different genres that are, mariachi is its own genre, but there's different styles of music played within mariachi. And a lot of it has to do with the strumming pattern. So we call them the manicos, the way that the strumming is done. So like a ranchera would be very much like a country song.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to sound just, de la Sierra Morena, cielito lindo, viene bajando. So that's very much we hear, and I always say that in Spanish we have the grito, which means scream, and in country music we have the yeehaw. Yeah. So it's right. Mariachi music. So I always say music, we have more in common with one another than different. But this is an example of a song that you would actually hear in different Latin American countries. And a lot of times it's used in a genre called trio, which is trio. But it's a requinto romántico, which is a smaller version of a guitar. It's tuned to A to A instead of E to E, and two guitars to accompany it, usually 3-part vocal harmonies. But this time I'm going to spare the viewers and shut up and let Rachel sing this. So this is a song called Sabor a mí. We'll do a little snippet of it, and then Rachel has a couple of different genres that she can share also.
Oh, absolutely. That's great. Go for it.
All right. Hit it, Rachel.
Tanto tiempo disfrutamos de este amor, nuestras almas se acercaron, tanto así que yo guardo tu sabor, como tú llevas también sabor a mí. Sin negar.
I'm going to jump off. Sorry, Rachel. I want to make sure that you have time to share some of your genres.
Oh, we got plenty of time. Listen, I love this. So don't rush. Walk us through it.
Okay.
I think seriously, we have plenty of time. It's fantastic. This is a kind of a first for Morning Line. We've got people on Zoom performing. You guys sound great. You really do. So. All right, Rachel, so he's pausing here. Tell us about the instrument that you have and a little bit about what you're going to do.
All right, well, talking about folk instruments, this is not a mariachi instrument, but it is a folk instrument. And since I love to cross genres so much, I think it's actually perfect that I'm going to sing a Mexican Tejano mariachi song on my auto harp, which was made super popular by Mother Maybelle Carter and Sarah Carter and June Carter Cash in country music and folk music and Appalachian music. So this really is like an Appalachian instrument. And I fell in love with it because I have been, and at the time when I started playing it or discovered it, was a volunteer for the Country Music Hall of Fame. And they would do the petting zoos where families would come in, or we would go to libraries or festivals and set out all the folk instruments and guitars and banjos and violins or fiddles. And I was always at the auto harp and the dulcimer table where I would help children and families play this, and I just fell in love with it and picked it up, and now I play rock and roll. I don't know what Mother Maybelle Carter would feel about me playing some rock and roll
I
and
bet she'd
mariachi
like
music
it.
on the auto harp.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm keeping the tradition alive.
Okay, okay.
So here's a song that I grew up singing with my dad. My dad is also an amazing musician and a singer and a bass player. And so he loved Ramon Ayala, who is an incredible and famous accordion player of norteño music and Tejano music. So here's a song that I grew up singing with him. It's like a polka.
No.
Voy a buscar un rinconcito en el cielo para llevar a mi amor. Voy a buscar un rinconcito en el cielo para escondernos tú y yo. Un rinconcito en el cielo, juntos unidos los dos. Y cuando caiga la noche, te daré mi amor.
Manuel, you like that? That was good, wasn't it? That is.
And so,
yeah.
Thank you. No, and so it's a polka, and you would hear accordion is king in norteño music, and so you would hear, you know, insert grito here with over an accordion solo, and that comes from Germany, you know. So you have this cross musical culture where the accordion is in Mexican music, but it came over, you know, from Germany, and the polkas that you know are from there.
Yeah, it's just the sharing of this. I'm wondering, are there instruments, and I don't know if maybe, Manuel, the smaller guitar is something that's more unique. I mean, are there instruments that originated that you know now are everywhere maybe, but originated in Latin America? As you just said, the accordion was from Germany. What's that?
Yeah, there's all kinds of it. So the reguito romántico is an instrument that you'd find from Mexico. The vihuela used in mariachi, which is the small, there's one hanging up right here behind me that has the arch on the back, the giant bass, the guitarrón. These are all instruments from Mexico. Jarana from Veracruz. Again, different. Everybody thinks sometimes Mexico is a state, it's a country. So the different regions are going to have different instruments. And then there's the tres from Cuba. There's the Cuban cuatro. There's the Puerto Rican cuatro. There's a cuatro from Venezuela.
And what's a cuatro? What is a cuatro? What is a cuatro?
So the cuatro from Venezuela looks like a baritone ukulele with a much deeper body. It's only 4 strings. But the cuatro from Puerto Rico is about the size of this instrument, but it has a violin shape. It's not an arch instrument, but it's a large instrument, violin shape, and it has 10 strings, 5 pairs. And that's the cuatro from Puerto Rico. So it is tuned in fourths. That's why it gets the name cuatro.
Gotcha.
So every country is going to have its own. I mean, you have to remember. I tell people this all the time in terms of building instruments. People couldn't go on eBay and order wood from somewhere else. They use whatever was available to them hundreds and hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago. So you're going to have different instruments that originate from the area where they're at. And they use the woods that were available to them. Their rhythms and so forth are influenced by different cultures. As Rachel was saying, with Germany coming to Mexico, you hear a lot of the Afro-Cuban from when the slaves are brought over, even if it's on anywhere along the coast. So in Cuba and in Venezuela, you're going to hear a lot of those Afro-Cuban beats and a lot of the music that's played there as well.
And the auto harp, Rachel?
Well, like I said, the auto harp, it comes, from Germany, and it's popular in Appalachian and folk music. So, Loving Spoonful. Who do you believe in magic?
Yeah.
Sebastian. I can't remember his name, but in Loving Spoonful, he plays the auto harp. In that, and of course we heard it in a lot of folk music in the '60s.
It's just so interesting. I mean, because I hadn't thought, and if I had, I may have made the connection. But German instruments in Latin America. I mean, it's amazing. Listen, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk some more about the instruments, the music. Maybe you can even play play a little more for us, give us some other examples, and you know, as we make our way through the program too, give folks out there some ideas on where they can go and sample or what kind of music, and maybe we can talk about some of the very well-known, you know, Latin American artists, and there's so much more than just that. But when we come back with more right after this, stay with us.
This is a Storm 5 weather update. For weather on the